Hi, everyone, and welcome to the Exploring Creative Minds podcast. I'm your host, Judah Hooper. Today, I have the pleasure of speaking with Katrina Grey. She's a writer, producer, director, actress, um, and she just had a movie come out called Daytime Nightmare, and it's a feature film that she wrote and directed and started. So thank you for doing this, Katrina. Appreciate
Hi, Judah. Thank you for having me on your podcast. And yeah, you said it all correctly.
it. Yes. So how did you get started with this project? What inspired you to make this?
Okay, so how did I get started in film industry or with this project? This project, right?
Yeah, this project.
Okay. So basically, I wanted to, for a while, transition from being not just in front of a camera, but behind the camera. And I would consider myself as being a storyteller. And I have lots of stories that I would like to tell. And I decided that the first story I wanted to tell was Daytime Nightmare. Um, I guess it's also always challenging to start filmmaking career, especially as a woman. No need to go into details, but everybody knows why. And it's also is always very challenging to get funding. So you kind of want to go always as for your first feature film with something that you can make at some reasonable budget and work with what you have, what you know. Hence, Daytime Nightmare story, script wise and story wise, was something personal to me, something that I can relate to myself the most. Because myself, I have quite a lot of nightmares, and these nightmares come to me as a stories. And then I thought one day, why not turn these nightmares into a story and just show them as I see them while I sleep? And hence, this movie is full of my real nightmares. I try to describe them into as much detail as possible, and yeah, so it's kind of biographical, but would you say? And also, wanted to work with some familiar themes such as acting, and from my life as much as possible, and include people that I worked with as well, such as Ron Smornborg and lots of other people that are part of this movie, such as Raluca Porumbaku, as well as the crew that I worked with. We worked on other projects together, so I kind of wanted to work with people that I love working with.
Right. Yeah. So it's a very personal story. That's cool you say that. Yeah, because it's about an actress trying to make it. And I thought that was an interesting angle to that premise. It was like, it kind of reminded me of Mulholland Drive in that way, which is about an actress um, trying to make it. And she's kind of going crazy in that movie. Um, so it reminded me a little bit of Mulholland Drive, the David Lynch movie. Was that an inspiration?
No, actually, it wasn't.
No,
Uh,
whoa.
I haven't seen that movie, so I'm gonna
Awesome.
watch it now. I would like to know how familiar it is, but or similar. But so I would say the story originally the Sarah was meant to be a man, so that was the
Oh,
first
that's
draft.
awesome.
But because actually it's also like I said, I tried to draw on those themes from my own personal life, and
Right.
in this case, I had a stalker, so I wanted to make a story about it, and hence originally Sarah was a man, and but then I realized that maybe I just don't want to go into much detail, so I kept the kind of similarities, but I want to make it not as similar to my real life story. So I changed it to a woman, and I wanted to make it more LGBTQ as well, and so I thought it would be really nice if it was a woman, and just kind of and it was also much nicer, you know. And that's the thing. Like it also came down to casting because when I knew Sarah Christiana, her real name. So I knew her from before, and I thought like, oh my god, like she would be just perfect because she had these like evil eyes, and she can just without saying anything, like she's evil. And it's like it's a very strong character, strong character in a sense. And I thought she was perfect, so I kind of basically changed it to be a her. Yeah.
Oh, very interesting. Yeah, there's so many layers um to the movie. By the end, like you think everybody's trying to kill you. Basically, it's very interesting. And like yeah, like I said, there's so many layers to the way you show that between the shots, the characters, the dialogue, the visuals. It's like you use everything to show that. It's very creative in that
I don't
way.
know if you noticed, but I have there the record player that is in the movie.
Yeah.
It was it was in very few scenes. Yeah, so that's my own prop, and I thought it'd be perfect because I really like Halloween theme kind of music, and this record player has really nice kind of scratching sound, and I wanted to incorporate it in the movie. It was there in a few scenes, and it's kind of very good transition when you go from the kind of nightmare into reality as well. And yeah, so I wanted to kind of recreate those nightmares and make it like more fantasy, but also how you see it when you dream or have a nightmare. And kind of you always see things that are in your real life, right? So but then if it's a horror or if it's a scary nightmare, then it's all kind of twisted, right? Sometimes even faces are twisted, hence the scene with the twisted faces. And so I and then I kind of like the Halloween theme, so I wanted to kind of combine it together. And also the reason, as you see, I don't know, I guess I'm gonna give a spoiler alert, but it's kind of the schizophrenia like transition from going to from kind of normal to totally weird places by the end of the movie. But again, I wanted to show everything from her perspective, and basically towards the end nothing made sense to her. That's if natural progression of someone having schizophrenia or hallucinations would be like. And especially all these, the kind of plot with Sarah and how she was contributing to that kind of spiraling down to that rabbit hole. And also the all these elements were kind of or the way or the script was written a certain way that it was going progressively worse, and then more and more nightmares would be kind of affecting her, and more scarier it would get. But in the same time, I don't know if you noticed, the color grading starts very bright and shiny, and then by the end we are kind of in a Game of Thrones color grading by the season 8.
Right.
So it's kind of also in that way, like we were progressively not only making it darker, but also the colors were kind of more nightmarish. And so also this, how it was written, how it was the color was done, as well as basically just kind of going into nightmares and staying by the end of the movie. You don't even know what is reality, what is not, because you're kind of going in and out. So it was kind of, the whole point was to kind of confuse, but in the same time, by the end, let you decide yourself. Hence, the ending is open. Decide yourself what you think. What is her reality, what is not, or maybe just let her be the way she wants to be, or you know.
It's very interesting though, because you have like you said, yeah. By the end, you're like, what's real and what's not. Like you're, the movie's directed in a very subjective way, where you know, when she's confused, we're confused, kind of thing, and it goes more and more in that direction. Like the point where her like roommate tries to kill her, and you're like, did that really happen? Did that not? And then it like, yeah, it keeps going in that way. It was interesting. Another movie. There's this movie called Carnival of Souls. It's like a movie from the '60s. It wasn't very popular, but it's about a woman that slowly loses her mind. And in terms of the surrealism, that reminded me of Carnival of Souls, which is one of my favorite movies. I highly recommend that one, if you want to check it out. But it was so cool to see a movie like you don't see a lot of movies like this, especially feature films. So from writing, what was your process for writing? Was like were you just like alone in a room with your thoughts and ideas kind of writing, or were you like did you show it to friends, or like what was your process? And
I, not sure if people will like this, but I wrote it like in 10 days. And maybe,
whoa.
yeah, I mean, maybe say, oh, maybe you should have spent more time on script and this and that. But I kind of like I said, I was kind of taking themes from my own life. So it kind of wrote itself, really. And maybe I didn't do many drafts. I think this was draft number, like the final draft was maybe number three, when people normally go up to 10 to make it, as best as possible. But basically, how I started, that's a funny one. I started with the last scene. So that was first thing that was written. Last scene, in terms, the scene was kind of originally it was basically at the end, but then I moved it as the first scene. That was when we showed her in asylum, the scene with the makeup, and how she was kind of crazy, or realizing she's crazy or not. So that was the first. It was meant to be a last scene, but then I moved things around, and so that was the first scene I wrote. And I was like, how do I go from here? Like, okay, so I know how she's gonna end up, but what happened before that? So hence, then I came up with the story that would lead to that point. But then, so that was supposed to be my ending, but then I created somehow alternative ending additionally to it. So I kind of went with the idea of, originally I wanted to actually make a short film when of just the whole surreal person of kind of being borderline crazy in a fantasy world, but trying to kind of get back to reality. And then everything is kind of in her head, but yet all these things are affecting her like from outside. And so how do I show that? And then so hence this scene was kind of my ending that I kind of wanted to work towards. And all the many things would have to have happened, right? And then I
Right.
came up with other key scenes, such as the theater scene when all these people were kind of in her head. So that was the second thing I wrote. And then I went backwards, and then I just kind of filled in the gaps and the storyline and all these characters, which I also kind of got inspired by people that I know or their personalities. And yeah, so everybody has different process, but I guess the the reason why I wrote it was again my emotional reason, hence that I went with what I thought that I can put my heart and soul into. And this is a indie movie, and so you want to just give your best, and also piece of you, I guess.
Right. It's yeah, it's so cool. There's a lot to unpack there. Um yeah, it's cool how the movie just kind of jumps in to what it is. Um it's very confident in that sense, with the tone and yeah, with the characterization. And it felt personal with like how specific the character is, and the characters um around her. Um so yeah, that was cool. Like the theater scene, even the part where you guys are hanging out at the beach, um felt very real. Was there? Did you write all that, or did you have like your actors improvise, or?
No,
Yeah.
everything was written. Everything was written.
Whoa,
Oh,
crazy.
that's good. I'm glad you liked it. But yeah, I mean, I I'm not sure if there was some kind of improvisation. To be honest, if there was, I could not remember which one exactly. But yeah, it was all kind of written. But in the same time, I wanted this movie to be from beginning kind of not real. I, you know, I wanted to kind of make it by the end of the movie feel like maybe even the whole thing was made up and all in her head. Maybe she was the whole time in asylum and she just made it all up. That's why kind of I tried to keep that kind of or direction with or an interaction with the other characters kind of very subtle, maybe even superficial, because that's what it was to her. Like it was all superficial, and I didn't want it to be as real. So it's always gonna be like, so it would feel almost like it's all made up to her because she's making it up.
Wow. Yeah. Yeah, and that makes sense. That it's there's like a blurred line of reality and fantasy. Um, yeah, it's so interesting. There's so many questions I could ask you about the movie. I think my favorite part was when she has the first dream sequence, and then she like looks at herself in the mirror, and you do that trick that I have no idea how you did, or you like you look at yourself, you check to make sure you're okay, and then like you leave the room, and she's still doing it.
How'd you do
It's
that?
actually
That
so
was really
super
cool.
simple. So this movie was basically combination of practical VFX, I guess, effects, and then special effects, right? So VFX, and then so the basically CGI is quite obvious. The distorted faces, even the horror one when she was there on screen
Mm.
twice, but when do you see me twice on screen? That was actually just simply we shot it twice and we just put it together as two pictures in post. So it was shot
Okay, so
twice.
you comped it.
So you would
Okay.
act towards nothing, and then
Hmm.
the other way you would act towards camera, and then so at the end we just put it together as two pictures, and so just the timing
Wow.
would have to be we would be counting, so the timing matches, because you see they're kind of interacting, so we would be kind of counting that we have the same time doing the same action like when we were mirroring each other. So yeah, so it's a very practical way to kind of do two people in the same time on the camera, means you just shoot it twice and kind of count and try to be in the same rhythm, I guess.
Whose idea was that? Was yours or DP's or?
To
Well,
do that kind of shot.
yeah. So well, it was mine, but of course, the
Okay.
DOP, Young Frame, he kind of
Mm.
came up with idea how to do it, on no
Right,
budget,
practically, which is
because
something. Yeah.
yeah, I didn't have a big budget for CGI, so we kind of had to come up with a practical solution on set. So we just basically shot it and then did it in post. Um, but yeah.
That part genuinely scared me. That was the most like moment, like I was like scared. I was like, whoa. That was like something they would have done in like an older movie in like the best way. Like, whoa. It doesn't just cut to something scary. It was like, oh no, you do this like creepy smile, and then he walks out of the room. I was like, whoa. That was cool. I like that part.
Glad you like it. Yeah, I mean, the whole point is to make it kind of uneasy. Maybe
Yeah.
not, I mean, maybe there were a couple of jump scares, but I don't know, like everybody reacts differently. Some people are more scared than others,
Yeah.
but I just tried to create that kind of uneasiness and creepy kind of feeling like, I just, like kind of
Yeah.
make you uncomfortable. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, that definitely it worked for that part for sure. um, so yeah, you said you originally wanted to make it a short film. So what told you that you were going to make a feature film, and then how did you approach getting funding? Did you shop it around, or did you do um like fundraising, or yeah?
Actually, it was kind of just, small budget feature film. Did not require very high funding, so it was kind of, I would say, self-financed plus with the help. And yeah, and well, originally I wanted to do short films, so that's why I approached Jan, DOP, Jan Frame, and he said, "Well, we can do feature film." I said, "Okay, well then I will just write a feature film," and then I wrote a feature film, and he's like, "Okay, so shall we do it?" So let's go, and then I kind of got all the locations. I did the whole, I broke down the script, did the shooting plan, and found actors. And literally 2 months later, we were shooting already. So
Two
that,
months later?
yeah,
Oh,
it happened very fast, and I kind of didn't really hesitate or waited around for some kind of signs. I just kind of decided, and I did it, and I didn't really think twice. And and in post, we try to do it as much as best as possible. That's why we have a custom made score music by Randy Kelsey, and then also the sound design we wanted to make in kind of progressively more scarier way, just like the flow of the movie goes. So everything was made for this movie, and I'm very proud of actually the sound and music because we have really great soundtrack out of it, and the sound design as well. And so sound definitely supported all these scenes to give it even more uneasy and fantasy-like feel.
mm,
Yeah, the sound design is awesome. It's something that a lot of people don't realize in movies. That it helps so much. um, just like little things to big things, and yeah, it's all seamless in the movie for sure. And there's a lot of lament in the score, like when it starts. Where it's like it's interesting. It's almost like you're. It's in a way it's creepy, but like there's like a sense of lament to it where you feel bad for the character. They did a good job with that. Your composer.
We'll tell Randy. Yeah, so that
mm.
was definitely intention to kind of
Of course.
uh, elevate how she feels through the sound, and also Sarah, the other main character, she had her
Mm,
own sound as well. It was maybe not as noticeable, but it kind of always became more dark when she came on screen. But also the sound design itself became darker and darker as the time progressed, as the movie progressed, and the time, and and then also the whole point was to kind of through the sound to make it feel like it's all in a fantasy world. So hence there's quite a lot of echoey kind of references that could be resonating just in her head, like when people are kind of in the background and everything becomes an ambience in her head and she's kind of
mm.
zoning out. So
Love that part. Yeah, love those
so
parts.
yeah, so that's the whole kind of point that of making her feel like maybe she's, from the beginning kind of weird, and
Yeah, right. There's like a sense of isolation
yeah.
in the main character, which is awesome. Uh, to see like the way that you showed that was so cool. So, what was your biggest challenge as like being the director and the main character? Like, what was the biggest challenge with that?
I mean, definitely, I would say it was hard to be a producer, director, and main actress. So probably in my next movie, I won't be doing all three. It was very, I would say, that was a challenge, but we got through. We got everything done, and we did our best. Everybody did their best who was part of this movie. Um, but it was definitely very hard. and tiring.
I
Very
bet.
long
I bet.
days, to review the footage every day afterwards and just kind of rehearsing all the lines. I wish I could have, I mean, I would not mind to have another main actress. It's just I couldn't kind of, I didn't know, I couldn't find someone on such notice by the time we had a shoot to be a main,
Mm,
so I decided to kind of step in and do it myself. But so that was challenge number one, and I would say post production was the most expensive part of the movie. So it's always hard to get finances for post because actually I would say normally people don't spend the most on post, but in this
true.
case we wanted to make sure that it's as best as possible and kind of what we couldn't, you know, what we felt like it was kind of like a weaker part, so we wanted to elevate it and make it better in post, um, to make it as best as possible, right? So we also took our
Right.
time. We didn't want to rush it, and then we also went to film festivals. We got very lucky to win quite a bit awards for actors as well as sound, music, at a regional film festivals, mostly horror film festivals. So we got very
Mm,
lucky, and that also helped us to get a distribution with Gravitas Ventures in US. So we are very proud of it. And yeah, otherwise, what's the challenge? I guess the funding is always number one challenge as well.
yeah.
But
Yeah.
then kind of once you get that, then I would say once you start, you don't stop until you're done. I mean, I think that's how
Mm,
it should be. So, but yeah.
Yeah, I get what you mean. Um, with any project, I think that's kind of how it works. It's like uh, you decide that you're gonna do it, and nothing can stop you from there. Ultimately, that goes past the money. If you're determined enough, you know, you could look at like something really small and be like, okay, we can't make this because we only have this much. Or you could be like, okay, we have this much, so let's make it. You know, it's like those are two different mentalities you could have as a director. Um, so it seems like you decided to just take action on it um, once you felt confident, and that's not an easy task to do, especially like since you were doing every important job with the movie. Um, so like, who called action? Your DP, your AD, or
That would be
Producer.
yeah. So that would be DOP.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you would call cut too?
No, he would be calling that.
No?
Yeah, he would be calling that.
Wow. Yeah, that's such a. Yeah, I can't imagine acting and producing and directing, you know?
Well,
Um, yeah.
it got easier because everything was really very well planned, which I guess
Mm,
one of the things I'm most proud of. That I literally planned it all. We agreed on everything in advance. So when we got to set, we just shot it. So I kind of did all the work before in pre-production, all the directorial work. I would
mm,
I
mm.
would discuss all the scenes and characters with each actor before because I knew I would not be able to do it on set. So when on set, I would be mostly focusing on my character and then just kind of maybe fixing some stuff. But um, I would basically all the major work was done in pre-production. Um, so all the direction for the actors, all the sets, scenes, what we are gonna go for. So everything was kind of there. So it was just a matter of showing up and just put it all together on the day.
mm, yeah, makes sense. So you did most of your work in prep as a director.
Yeah, that was the
Got
only
it.
way.
No, that's smart.
Yeah, otherwise we would be running around like headless chicken.
Yeah, right, exactly. Yeah. Um, did you rehearse with your actors?
We did rehearse before, yes, before shoot.
Mm.
And then we would on the
Um,
day we would also we actually had quite good amount, healthy amount of days for a low budget movie. I think it was 21 days. So
okay.
we did rehearsals on the day, all of us, and then we would shoot. So we always got the best take we could.
Okay. 21 days to shoot. Okay. Um, yeah, I'm like, where do I go? 21 days. So you had to organize all of those days, of course, and then there's a lot of locations in the movie too, and there's day scenes, there's night scenes. Um, it seems like a lot. Um, from watching it, in the best way. So, where did you shoot the movie at?
So it was shot in Southeast Asia.
Oh, okay. Why was that?
Um, I guess it's just more cost effective,
Mm.
and also I wanted to. It was the part of the reason why, because I wanted to. It could. I wanted to look like. I don't. So you didn't notice, right? That it's Southeast Asia.
No.
So I wanted
No.
to make it look like it's somewhere in the West, but made a
Mm.
place. And hence I would shoot in Southeast Asia but not make it look like, so that it's some kind of made up place, which again contributes to the whole script story, that is it in her head? Is she the whole time in asylum? Up to you to decide. So I wanted to kind of shoot it, or the story to be in a made up place.
Oh, okay. Wow. Um, so you guys had to fly there and all that jazz and then hotels and yeah. And were you there the full 21 days or did you come back and so?
Yeah, the whole time. So we would start with all the group scenes. So I would kind of schedule it that we would do all the group scenes, and then the rest of it would be just me. So we got everything out of the way, and so it was kind of more cost effective. And then the rest of the days would be just maybe, let's say, me and one another actor, and then just me at the end. So we would make sure that we got everything.
Got it. So you shot like most of the stuff of you alone the last.
Yes.
Makes sense. That's awesome. Even like there's so many factors to making a movie. Um it seems like you thought out so much of it really well, you know.
I also tried to the way it was written was also kind of keeping it at certain amount of locations, so like all the group
Mm.
scenes were maybe in two or three only, and that's how I also scheduled the shoot, that I wanted to be again cost effective. So I would schedule for the group scenes but per locations, so it would be location number one group scene, location number two group scene, location number three, and then that would be done. So we would not have to be, we are not going back and forth between locations, so we would just 2-3 days shoot here, 2-3 days shoot there, and then that's it, everybody's wrapped. And then with one actor, another location, it would be, of course, the for continuity we had to keep images, because there would be, even on one location we would shoot maybe beginning of the movie and then end of the movie. But anyway, all the group shots were done, so the only
Right.
thing was be that in a day we would shoot two different times of the movie. But that's fine, because we would have reference shots, we would have a costume, we would have images. So I would just kind of keep a notes where we kind of left off. So I would always make sure that for continuity wise everything is the same, makeup is the same, hair is the same, and everybody looks the same, and emotion is there. So we would know, we would kind of check the previous one that we would shot in case there was something shot. If there was something, nothing was shot, then we would keep record of everything for continuity. But anyway, then afterwards it would be, let's
Right.
say, me and Sarah only, Christiana, and then
Mm.
and then pretty much then just me. and then my scenes would be also kind of per location, but quite a lot of jumping before and after. So, for example, the scene when I only entered the theater was shot maybe 20 days later than the whole group scene would be the first. So it's two separate times, but you see, you can't even tell, and
Oh,
so it would not be shot the same time because we would not have much time to shoot it on that location. So we would just it probably was not even the same place. Many shots are not even, the entrance is not the same that what is inside. We would kind of change it to make it more interesting. So, for example, hospital is totally different place than what is from outside. So and then we also kind of in post, we there was quite a lot of buildings and stuff, and then we couldn't find something that would be like really really like kind of proper asylum hospital. So we deleted in post. You see, there's nothing, and in the nighttime we even put a moon, so it was not there. So
wow.
we cheated quite a lot on the screen. It's not what it was shot. We deleted the titles, we deleted everything, names, so you don't see anything in
Right.
any kind of foreign language. We put fake name of the hospital in post.
Mm.
Um, yeah, so we deleted buildings, put a fake names, um, put a moon, and it just looks like completely different place than it is, and all thanks to, because it was like kind of quite stable shot, so it was very easy to do. If it was moving a lot, I think we just put a pen to it in a post, but it was not moving, so hence it was kind of easy to do in post.
Mm. Um. Yeah, that gives me the question of visual effects shots. Were those in prep too, or how did you approach the visual effects in the
The
movie?
movie.
No, it was everything done in post.
Mm-hmm.
The only thing that we would kind of pre-plan was, like I told you, we shot me twice and we just put it together in post. So we
Mm.
make sure that it was as best as possible. But quite a lot of people do that even now on social media. So it's pretty much the same concept. And then I was not sure how much is the budget for post, how much was the budget for VFX. So I kind of tried to do it as scary as possible, practically, and then I managed to do kind of over the shots some kind of distorted faces, and some kind of like so we did a 3D model of me, and then we kind of would distort that model, and then you could see like how it was even when she was approaching the camera, that kind of demonic face,
Mm.
and then when she was dead, she had kind of like a rotten face when she was the second time in her, I think later on, and then what else? Yeah, so we had a 3D model of me, and then we turned it into kind
Wow.
of deadly version of me, and that was also used in the last scene, and then otherwise it was all combination of practical in case I don't have any budget, but then we managed
Right.
to have, and but I guess there was some there's a quite a lot of special effect that you don't know, like for example this hospital scene. It's not really obvious, but we
No.
did that to kind of create made up place. So it's mostly deleting the titles or changing the backgrounds that you might not notice. Even in big movies, you can't even tell, it looks so real, but yet it was probably most of it is shot on green screen, but this was shot in
Right.
real place, and then we would just delete it or change it in post, and
Mm.
yeah, and then the demonic faces.
Was it just one person who did the VFX, or?
Yes, one person. Yes, it was a one person, Hamid Saidi.
Wow,
Wow.
He's amazing.
that's crazy. That's a lot to do. That's awesome. Because yeah, typically I know they you have like a whole plan of each visual effect for each shot, with the raw takes and all that stuff. And that's usually a long process. Like for like whatever Marvel movies or something, big movies. That's usually how they do it. They have to plan like every shot before they even finish writing. You know, so that's an interesting process that you show them essentially. I'm assuming the cut, and then you're like, I want this, this, and that, basically, right?
Yes.
Awesome. So, so you, I guess, was that the flow of post? You did the picture lock with the editor, and then you talked to everybody else,
Yes.
like the color grade, the sound, music, and visual effects.
Correct.
Um, so yeah, I think the movie is a really cool accomplishment. Um, I don't know a lot of people who've approached making a feature film, especially ones who've never done it before. And so it's an amazing accomplishment.
Thank you very much. It's very nice of you to say.
Yeah. So where did you grow up?
I grew up in Slovakia, in a small kind of village, small city village called Ilava, and so basically, uh, yeah, it was pretty much village life, just kind of around animals, farm animals, and really nice, nice
Village
childhood.
life. That's cool.
Yeah, very different than
Did
I
you
live right now.
did you grow up with? So you grew up with animals around you all the time, right?
Yes, so we had quite all the farm animals, pigs, goats, chickens, rabbits, and so on. So kind of spending time a lot at my grandparents' house, and then hanging out with the farm animals, and yeah.
Yeah, that's cool. I uh I think that yeah, that's a cool way to grow up, you know. Um Especially a lot of people don't grow up that way now. Uh that's yeah, that's awesome. What got you interested in movies at that point in your was it in your childhood? I'm assuming it was.
So I kind of I kind of always like to perform. Um,
Mm.
my first theater play was playing Ladybug in my kindergarten when I was 5 years old. So that was probably my first thing I've done. So it was like a play. I was very small, singing, dancing, acting, and then of course you know, my parents wanted me to study, so I actually was studying all the way until I finished my master's degree, but
Mm.
I I I was kind of doing acting on the side as a hobby, but on the high during in a primary school and secondary school, I went to also School of Performing Arts, so which was my after school. So I would kind of do my normal school, and then I would do School of Performing Arts, where I was basically studying theater, dancing, acting, singing, uh, choir, singing, and accordion.
Choir.
Yeah, and accordion. And then after that, in high school, I got scholarship to go to Mexico, and then so I did my final year of high school in Mexico, and I was doing theater, cats musical in Spanish. So it was dancing, singing, acting, and then after that, during my university years, I was doing already kind of moved away from theater to started to do commercials. So I did quite a lot of commercials and campaigns with like international brands like Panadol and I don't know, so many commercials, and then I kind of slowly moved towards the film. So I started to do my I think my first film experience was 2015 or 16,
Whoa.
2015. With I was standing and double for Blake Lively in All I See Is You movie, which is on Netflix.
Nice.
And then after I got the role with Scott Atkins in Hard Target 2, directed by Roel Reine. And then after that, what was next? Ghost House movie, and then was Locked Up, and there was Wu Assassin, Fistful of Vengeance, which is basically would you say spin-off movie after the series. So this was a feature
Okay.
film. It's also on Netflix. And then I did some nice series. One called Eng and Chang, the extraordinary story of Siamese twins, which is on Disney Plus in Asia. But I would say, I think that that's the role I'm the most proud of. So it was basically historical role. I was playing American, even though I don't have an American accent, but I guess it doesn't matter in Asia. And then, so it was basically the Siamese twins, best friend's wife. So it was a real person, and oh, that was the most dramatic role I've ever done, and I'm really proud of it. Um,
Mm.
if you get to watch it on it's on the Disney Plus, and
It's
then
on Disney Plus.
yeah, and then small role in the Serpent series, which is also on Netflix and BBC One. So that was the investigator who caught the serial killer. I was his second wife, and we shot quite a lot of scenes, but then only few made the cut because that's the unfortunate story of every series. They shoot a lot and then they cut a lot. So yeah,
Right.
but yeah, I'm in that too, and now working on development on my next feature film called Zero One.
Oh,
So
01.
Zero One, yes, it's a dystopian psychological thriller. So basically, how the you know the AI goes wrong. So it's similar to Black Mirror, but it's a feature film, and
Mm.
then it has also a sequel. So I'm working on that now.
Whoa. So you're already working on a sequel to 01 too?
So I
Writing
wrote
wise?
it. So I have the
Yeah.
scripts done, but now I'm kind of working on development of Zero One, and then the sequel Zero Two will be hopefully after. But for now, so I wrote both scripts already.
Wow.
Yeah.
You're a very prolific writer.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I learned a lot from the first one. Also, how to do things better. So, if anything, the movie will be better than Daytime Nightmare because I learned a lot,
Mm.
and I studied also ever since script writing, producing, directing. So I improved myself on that front too. So it's continuous, studying and getting better.
Right. And that's crazy. You say you've been acting since you're a teenager. Um, and wow, that's awesome. Um, and do you want to just focus primarily on creating your own stories at this point in your life? Um, yeah.
Uh, so I would like to turn my stories that I have into reality. And but if somebody approaches me and says they would like me to direct their project, that would, if I like the story and I can relate to it, I would love to definitely direct it. And I kind of I still would like to do acting. So, but I would say at this point I'm kind of just interested in the roles that are like ringing a bell or something in me. I would not want to do just any role just for the sake of acting,
Right.
but I would like to just do roles that I can nail, and nail in the sense that I can really feel for the character, and it's interesting to me, and that I can bring it to life in a certain way that I am proud of. Um, and I would say the same probably about the stories as well, that I guess I can emotionally invest myself in them and do my best. But the same thing if with someone else's project, like if it's something that I don't know, maybe I can't really, I don't know if I can. But maybe once I read the script and to me it was a parody, but they, it was meant to be a thriller. So you know what I mean? Like
Sure.
everybody sees
Yeah.
differently. So yeah, everybody reads things differently, or would their
True.
their interpretation would be different.
Yeah. And yeah, I get what you mean. You're interested in doing roles that you feel connected to. You know, you don't want to just do a role just to do a role. At this point, yeah, that's I understand that. Um, so circling back to like the way you grew up in a sense, was your family supportive towards your creative endeavors, or were they more like, okay, you need to focus on school first, or that sort of thing?
Uh, yeah, I mean, basically, I would say they said do whatever you want, but we want you to
Well,
finish um, university so that
mhm.
you know. So I said, okay, I will finish university, and I just kept doing my thing. And so they were kind of um, open-minded, and they did not say no to me to anything, and they gave me kind of free hand to do what I wanted with my life, and that's what I did. I just kind
Wow.
of followed my passion and hobbies. I traveled a lot.
So they were very supportive.
That's awesome. Um, being creative, I think, is very important, really, for anybody in some sense. You know, um, so what do you think? What is being creative to you, and why is it important?
Um, so I would say I kind of the mindset that I have is that I want to follow the passion, but of course I need to make a living. But my
Right.
main drive behind everything is my passion, and so I try to kind of fulfill my dreams and do things that make me happy. And part of it is being creative and then express myself creatively. And why I want to express myself creatively is because I consider myself as a person that has a lot of stories, and I would like to show them to the world, share them with people. Um, and the reason why I want to share them is to also kind of create a legacy for myself
Mm.
and leave some trace behind. So when I'm no longer here, maybe tomorrow, in 50 years, God knows, that there is something that I left behind for others to maybe enjoy or hate. God knows what. You know, everybody thinks, everybody has always different opinion. Like you can't please everyone. Once one person can hate it, the other one might like it. Um,
Right.
but but that's very again subjective to everyone. But no matter what, whether it's bad or good, it's still legacy. It's still there, and nobody is gonna ever, delete it. So I keep saying
Right.
I would like to encourage others to kind of, if there's something that I would like to leave behind, whether it is writing a book, writing a story, publish something online, um, something leave behind, do it while you're here. I mean,
Right.
and share a piece of yourself, share your stories, um, whether they're true or made up, fantasy, anything. Just don't be afraid. Kind of be creative,
Mm.
and don't be afraid of judgment, because if I was, I would not have this movie if I was afraid to be judged
Right.
on it.
Right.
And you know just don't be scared of anything. Well, I mean, what is the worst thing that can happen? Nothing. It can be a success, worst, or can be a success, or can be a total
A
flop.
failure.
But
Yeah.
it doesn't matter, because it's at the end of the day, it's a movie, and it's kind of also stepping stone. It's you know uh, it's still a story, whether it's bad or good, and you can only be better, or become a better from that, and overcome lots of fears as well, and learn a lot. So yeah, just do your hobbies and try maybe at some point to turn them into your primary income, I guess, if you can.
Right.
And I think that a lot of people already do that using AI now on social media. So that's good. Like the people are trying to be creative already and use all these technology apps or anything and edit their own videos or create social media content. That's also
Right. I think it's so important to be creative in some sense in your life. Because when you think about it, like most children are creative, but not every adult is. So it's like there's some conditioning that happens. I feel like as you grow up, to where eh, you're not as creative. Like that happens to a lot of people. Like if you look in like a kindergarten class, you know, most of the kids are gonna do something creative, like finger painting, Legos, you name it. But then like plenty of adults that aren't creative. So it's like something happens, some sort of conditioning, you know. Um and that's sad. And if all you're thinking about is like money and sustainability and that's it, you don't do anything creative, you just work a job so you have enough money and that's it. Like what is the point of life, really?
You know.
Yes, you said it. So basically, the way I see, I thought about this as well, and I think quite a lot of people also can, notice that when we are children, we are worry free, and we have kind of that mental capacity to explore the creativity and that area of our imagination. When we kind of become older, then the real life kind of steps in, and our focus shifts from imagination, dreaming, into reality, where we have to focus on how are we going to make money and deal
Yeah.
with problems on daily basis. So we kind of we forget that child in us, and we focus on that adult that is responsible. And then people say, like, once you have your own children, you kind of become a child again for a short period of time while that child is
Right.
small. But then again, children grow up, and then where does it go? Nowhere. So you kind of, I would say, maybe it would be good to look at it like from the perspective that maybe you should always be that child, and don't forget that
Right.
inner child in you. And even if you have all these lives, things going on, whatever it is, issues, problems, anything, you should still kind of find, even if it's a half an hour of the day or 10 minutes of the day, for yourself, and maybe write a story, draw, or anything. But like, don't forget the child in you, because that child can be happy. And then at some point, you can, if you spend, let's say, 10 to 30 minutes a day on something personal, imagine in 1 year you can have a fully completed work, whatever it is. So it's the small thing you do every day. It's not just suddenly, oh, I need 1 week to write something. No, you don't need the 1 week. You can write half page a day. That's it. So, and then in 1 year you have it, and then you can be proud of it, and then you publish it, and then it can be a success. Just an example. But what I'm trying to say, that you should not forget that child, and it should not like leave him behind, put him on or just kill the child in you, and just just focus on your imagination and creativity until you are dead, until you literally die, because this is the lifelong thing. This is not just me now, or me 10 years ago, or
Right.
in 5 years. This is not 5 year plan. This career, being
Right.
creative, is lifelong. I can be an actress at 90. I can be a director at 90. Like, people still do that. So there's no
Yeah.
time limit to this.
Yeah. And
Look
it's
at Morgan Freeman. Wasn't his first role like when he was 43 or something like
Yeah,
that?
something
so
like
there
that,
you
yeah.
go. I mean, Clint Eastwood
Yeah, there's
is 90 and he
instances.
still directs. Sorry.
No, go
Yeah.
ahead. No.
Yeah, the Clint
Yeah.
Eastwood is 92 and he
Yes.
still directs.
Ridley Scott
Yeah, so
is
I
like
mean,
almost 90.
at any age, you can start at any age, or you can just, do little by little every day.
Yeah, age and responsibility is an excuse. It's like you can always find an excuse to not do something, you know. Like I really want to learn the guitar, but I only have an hour a day, so I'm just not going to do it. That's how a lot of people are sometimes. They find excuses. They give themselves barriers, and that's what stops them from doing something creative specifically, but it's just I think you have to make it a priority when you're an adult, the same way you make everything else a priority. That it's as simple as that.
Yeah, it should be probably me time. 30 minutes of the day should be a priority for something to do, some hobby or thing you love, no matter what. And that should be a priority, just for, there should be a healthy balance of everything you do in life. If you just you know, if you miss one thing, then you can't live in kind of balance. Like if you don't have a friends or family, you always feel there's something missing, right? This is one of those things, to be creative, to give yourself time. It's part of having that healthy balance in life too.
What's your favorite movie?
My favorite movie. Okay, I can tell you my favorite movie now. It's
Yeah.
definitely the best movie I've seen in a long time, and that's Talk to Me, that horror
Okay.
movie. I love it. It's amazing. But I kind of grew up watching Alien and Terminator,
Ooh.
Resident Evil, and I really like zombie movies. So I'm really big fan of horror and zombies. So Dawn of the Dead, Shaun of the Dead, even if it's comedy, and
28 Days Later.
that one is, yeah, it was all right. That was all
Yeah,
right.
it's not my favorite either. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, that's cool. Um, you watch The Walking Dead?
I did. I did watch it. Yeah.
I
Yeah,
mean,
I
it's
did.
still going, isn't it? I don't know. I
Is it
stopped.
still going? Oh, it's on the
I don't even know.
not the new. If there's anything new, no. I would say
I think yeah, they're doing spin-offs. Yeah.
okay.
I kind of stopped once Rick died. I was
Oh
like, okay,
yeah.
I'm done. you know.
I'm not sure how
Um,
until which season I got to, but I watched few. Yeah.
well, thank you for doing this, Katrina.
Thank you for having
Um,
me.
Yeah, congrats on the movie. It's not easy. A lot of times you have to find your own sense of drive to make a movie. It's not like everybody's just gonna come to you and be like, take my money and I'll do what you want. You have to steer the ship, and then people come on it with you. That's how it works. So, and you did that very well.
Thank you, really appreciate it. Well, now movies on Apple TV, on Amazon Prime, even on
yes.
DVD on Amazon, and Vudu, and what else? Google Play, Microsoft Xbox, and many, many more. Spectrum as well on channels, even some I never. Yeah, Spectrum definitely, and Sky as well.
Mm. Yeah, check it out, guys. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.